Hello. The eagle-eyed among you may notice that I'm not recording this, excuse me, in my usual place. That's because I'm not at home. I'm actually doing this at my son's house because I'm dog sitting for him. So I'm just going to turn the camera and see if I can get a shot of Sapper. There we are. That's Sapper. And I'm dog sitting for him because my son normally works from home, but 2 days a week he goes in and works in the office. And I come and check in on Sapper while he's out. Because he's only had him a few months. Anyway, enough of that because that's not really relevant. First of all, my apologies for the fact that I didn't do a video last week. On Tuesday last week, I went for an absolutely mammoth appointment at the hospital. And I was out of the house for 4 or 5 hours for my pre-op assessment. I did a lot more walking than I normally did. Quite frankly, it laid me out flat almost for the rest of the week. I've just about recovered from that now. And the combined effect of that and the clocks changing, it kind of left me a bit discombobulated, which is a really good word. But very well describes how I feel, really, I know I've done things and I know my body isn't, excuse me, need a drink. I know that my body isn't really doing the things I would like it to do. Don't be fooled by the label on the bottle. This is not Pepsi, this isn't soda of any sort. This is kombucha that I make for myself. Because kombucha's fermented and it's good for me. Anyway. So, apologies for that, I didn't do a video last week. I will be having surgery sometime in May. And I honestly don't know quite how long it's going to take me to get back to normal. So you may very well find that there's a bit of a gap in these videos. I will do what I can. But, I mean, surgery always takes time to recover from. And between my long COVID, it's, with my long COVID as well, it's going to take me even longer to recover. So I'm not going to start making stupid promises about, I'll only be missing a couple of weeks, which might be the case. But I might find I can do shorter videos, literally just a talking head video. But we'll have to see. But anyway, that's why I didn't do a video last week, for which I apologise. So, what I want to talk about today. Strength. This was a strange theme that ran through my meditation and my readings this morning. And strength is everyone thinks they know what strength is. I would need to be stronger than I am to control this wonderful dog on a lead. He's way stronger than I am and he pulls quite hard, so I can't take him for walks, which is a shame. And when you think of strength, you maybe think in terms of, concrete, titanium, really strong, unbreakable substances. And we all know that at times we need to be strong. We need a certain amount of strength to do what's our part to do in the world. We've all got a role to play. And sometimes doing the role that you're called to play needs more strength than at others. And when you're struggling, it's very easy to fall into the trap of thinking that to be strong, you've got to be hard. And in fact, entirely the opposite is true. Because I mentioned concrete as being quite strong, which it is, it's certainly quite hard, but the strongest of concrete buildings can be torn down by an earthquake or by a tsunami. Strong, hard iron bars can be bent if you apply heat to them in the right way. If you've ever watched Forged in Fire, one of my favourite programmes, you will know that they put the iron into the fire so that it makes it malleable, so that they can shape the way the blade that they want. So those things are hard, and they do have strength. But it would be a mistake to think that if you've realised that you need more strength in your personal life, that you need to become hard. Because sometimes the hardest thing that we have to do is to show compassion to ourselves. And really, society kind of tries to tell us, no, it's selfish to be compassionate to yourself. You know, your needs don't matter, other people's needs matter more. And if you've watched any of these videos, you will almost certainly have heard me say the phrase, self-care is never selfish. And that's true. Self-compassion is one of the strongest forms of self-care, because self-compassion isn't just about, giving yourself a break, doing something that you enjoy to recharge your batteries. Self-compassion actually acknowledges all the ways in which you feel not up to doing the task. And in many ways, you need to be a really strong person to say, I can't do that. You need to be a really strong person to maintain boundaries, to say no when people ask you to do things. However much, you think, well, I'd like to help them, but I honestly haven't got the time or the energy. And it takes a lot of strength to maintain boundaries, so that you've got your own personal space and you've got your own needs taken care of before you have the time, the energy and the strength to, help other people with their needs. And it takes a very strong person to recognise that sometimes you just need to say no. Because so often we're kind of pre-programmed. Someone says, can you do this? And that yes is coming out of your mouth before you've even really thought about it. It's devastating at times. Because you say yes and then you think, why did I say yes? I wish I'd said no. True strength comes when you recognise why you need to say no and allow yourself to say no. Because other people will always have, a call on our services. Whether it's your job, whether it's your friends, whether it's your peer group, whether it's your family, there are always people who will want you to be a certain person to them. You're the one that always sorts the problems out because that's what you're good at. You're the one that always helps sort the difficult relative out. You're the one that can be trusted to do the most boring and tedious of jobs because you know it's necessary. And you do that, and people start to view you as, oh, that's what that person does. And unless you're mindful enough to realise that actually doing those things and being seen in that way is very bad for you, because it's giving you no time for yourself, you're going to keep on saying yes. And that isn't a sign of strength that you carry on. It's a sign of weakness, that you don't have the courage to put your own needs first. I know someone who has an awful lot of pain, but her attitude is, oh, well, you just have to carry on, don't you? No, you don't have to just carry on. If you're living in constant pain, then you need to be dealing with that pain, or you need to be happy with the steps you're taking to deal with that pain. It also takes an awful lot of strength to be who you truly are. We're often forced to put on different masks, to be different, be a different person for different areas of our life. So, you know, you're one person when you go out with your mates down the pub, and you're totally another person when you're with your parents, or when you're with your partner. And that's natural, actually. We all put on different personae, depending on, you know, who we're with. But it takes an awful lot of effort to keep those different facades up. And sometimes it is just so good and so relaxing to just be yourself, to stop pretending to anyone, especially to stop pretending to yourself. It takes a huge amount of strength to recognise that you have lost control of things, that you're not putting the boundaries up, you're not preserving your own personal space, you're not giving yourself time to take care of your own needs. To recognise that and to act on that takes a huge amount of strength. It also takes a huge amount of strength to look at things and say, okay, they aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. We all like to think we're perfect. You just got Sapper on camera. Good boy. We all like to think that we're perfect, but actually we're not. And it takes a lot of courage and strength to admit that you did something wrong, that you haven't quite got things right, that maybe you haven't got all the information and knowledge you need to do something. And it certainly takes an awful lot of courage to admit to yourself and other people, look, I've just been doing too much. I need to step back. I need time for me. And when the demands on you are so many, the easiest thing to do is just to become hard and say, okay, I'll deal with myself later. And the harder and harder that facade becomes, the more and more energy it takes. And eventually it will break. And you will break. Excuse me. So recognising when you need to step away for a bit and give yourself some self-compassion. When you've got enough compassion for yourself to realise, not this time, I need some me time. That takes a huge amount of strength and courage, particularly when people have this fixed expectation of what you should do, the sort of person that you are. So this is a message to anyone out there who feels put upon, who feels that no one ever bothers about how they feel, who is a people pleaser, a real people pleaser. That's me. Well, it used to be. It's a message for all those carers who just want a break from caring and feel bad because they want that break when they're caring for someone that they love. This is for all those volunteers who give up their time to do things, and so everyone expects them. They will always give up their time to do things, and sometimes you just can't. In other words, this is a message to anyone who just feels that they've lost control, that they've lost themselves, that they've lost who they are, and that they just want to step off out of the rat race for a bit. One phrase I often use in my meditations is that when you feel yourself saying, "Stop the world, I want to get off," that can be a signal just to take a deep breath. And that's what I'm saying to you now. Any time you realise that you're thinking in that sort of way, that you're thinking, "Stop the world, I want to get off, it's all going too fast, there's too much going on and I just want to put the brakes on," that should be a huge cue to you to take a deep breath. Why? Because when you take a deep breath, your focus goes inwards. You stop the thoughts going round and around in your head. You give yourself a break from all the emotions. And then if you take another deep breath, you give yourself a bit of a longer break. Take enough gentle breaths with you focusing on them, and that's called mindfulness meditation. Yes, it is that simple. And focusing on your breath or on your body, or maybe lighting a candle and focusing on the candle flame. Taking time out to focus on something else apart from all the demands on you is one of the kindest and most compassionate things you can do to yourself or for yourself. When you feel like saying, "Stop the world, I want to get off," that should be your trigger to you to think, "Hang on a minute. Why do I feel like this? What am I doing? What am I involved in that's making me feel like this?" And you can't accurately reflect on that until you do step back, until you do give yourself a break, literally give yourself a breather. Because it's very easy to say, "Oh, she's always asking me to do this, he's always asking me to do that, it's their fault I feel so tired." And actually, I want you to turn it round and think, well, hang on a minute. What's making me want to dance to their tune? Why am I saying no? Why am I saying yes? When actually, I really ought to be saying no. And a gentle look inside, literally just by sitting and taking a few gentle, easy breaths, can sometimes be quite illuminating. But for it to be illuminating, you have to accept that strength does not mean carrying on regardless. Strength, true strength, is about recognising that you've got limits and you've gone past them, and you need to take some time out. That's when real strength is needed. To give yourself permission to be soft, to be vulnerable, to go and hide away in your safe space. That's what true strength is. Okay, next week I hope I might be back to doing something a little more active than just sitting here, but next week hopefully I'll be recording in my normal place where it's easy for me to do Tai Chi or something like that. Anyway, in the meantime, thank you for watching. Thank yourself for watching. And remember, to be strong does not mean you've got to be hard. True strength comes when you recognise that you can be soft and vulnerable and say no and give yourself the time that you need. Namaste.